There on my left.
Who's that creepy guy?
What's up, Wesley Salzburger, Tour de France finisher, raced for Orica Greenwich and FD Shea. How are you doing, Wes?
I'm good, Jasper. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. We commentated the Western race last week, and that was such a pleasure. And today, you're going to be commentating with me here on the Eastern eCrit. And I know you have a particular liking to a certain team that'll be racing tonight. Which team is that, Wes?
Yeah, the Wolfpack Taz guys. There'll be a few guys in there that'll be showing their faces early on. I reckon there'll be a few attacks. So yeah, the Wolfpack Tazzy crew. I think they're pretty set. I've been in contact with them, and they're pretty excited about tonight's race.
What do you make of Aaron Dunn's impressive show performance so far, putting him in the lead by over 100 points almost?
Yeah, well, consistency is key, and he's certainly got that nailed. So he just needs to keep finishing up there on those podiums, and even throw the arms up there tonight, and he'll definitely stamp his authority over this E series. And they're out of the gates. Here we go, Jasper.
I saw a late joiner, Mr. Drew Gin, Wes, has joined the fun again tonight. Have you ever raced against Drew Gin on Zwift?
I don't think so. No, not yet.
He's an absolute animal. And today, in the ninth stage of the East eCrit series, they'll take on 7 laps of the counterclockwise Volcano circuit, which they actually also raced last week, which was one of the better races that comes to mind in the overall series, where we saw Mr. Ben Hill recover from a collarbone injury and take the overall victory. And I see we have a little breakaway off the front, but mentioning Ben Hill, you had a chat with him, Wes. How is Ben Hill feeling?
Yeah, Ben's coming back from recovery. He's just done a 4.5 hour ride the other day out on the road. So one of his first road rides, and just straight into it with some hard, solid training. So yeah, Ben's a really strong rider, and it's going to be interesting because he's liking and using this to prep himself for Qinghai Lake, which is a race in China that's at altitude. So it's a brutal race, and so he's really using these brutal efforts and trying to win these races, get as many points as he can before he goes off in 3 weeks' time for Qinghai Lake.
He's done a good job so far. Looking at the overall standings, he's actually sitting 5th right now with 61 points. So he's done a really good job racing consistently in the eCrit, and he's slowly been, making his way to the top. And last week, it all came together, and he won a magnificent display of just pure strength, because he held everyone back for a good kilometer while sprinting up that really steep incline going into the volcano, which we will see in just a minute. But as the racing gets underway, there are a few rule changes that you need to hear. So these will be made official at some point later as well over on the Facebook page, Kiss and Swift Oz, I believe. But if you're racing, have a listen in. If you're watching this afterwards, enjoy a nice, recovery shake and listen. So it looks like the overall point system is going to be a tiny bit changed. More information will come on that, but all you need to know right now is keep racing, keep racing, keep racing. Your best placings will count towards an overall standings, but we're just going to have to refine that a tiny bit more. That will be made more clear next week. Also looking at who are going to be invited to the live finale, it looks like it might be adjusted due to the overall population of the area, meaning that East might see 7 riders go and West see 2 with 1 wildcard entry. More information to come as well when all of this is set in stone. So keep an eye out on the KISS Facebook page, the Swift Oz, and maybe even listen to the broadcast next week, because it will definitely be set in stone. But Wes, that was a long spiel, but getting that out of the way, the pack is still all together heading into the volcano.
Yeah, they're all together. Not seeing any moves going early just yet. Here's the first lap, so they're going to come up through this volcano. We might see some moves go off the front here. I don't doubt that there'll be a Wolfpack guy trying to stir this up now. They'll probably just put their toe in the water and see if they can start to get a bit of action going.
It would have to be Nazi or Ackerby. Those are the 2 guys who have been killing it off the front, but adding to that note, though, Troy Herfoss did not make the start line today, Wes.
No, yeah, and it's a shame that Troy hasn't. I know he may have a case of that man flu that's going around. I know that Nadji's got a little bit of man flu at the moment. He's a little bit under the weather, so it's going to be interesting to see whether. And I know that you spoke to Anthony Vegan Porsche, yes. So he's also out tonight as well. So maybe Troy's got a touch of that man flu as well.
Something must be going around. You're heading into the winter season. Anthony Vegan Porsche called me up and said, Jesper, I am sick. And it was like, Jesper, I'm sick. I'm going to bed. See you later, Jesper. So
Oh,
take care
poor
of your body,
bugger.
first of all.
Yeah, no, you've got to listen to your body, and yeah, and these races are brutal. They're not easy. So this getting along in these races, they're sitting on 4.5, sort of that 4 watts, going up towards that 5 watts a kilo. So holding that around the whole race. So this level here at the East eCrit series is really high.
It's incredibly high. They're averaging speeds around like 50 all the way around the circuit on Zwift, which is a lot when you compare it to the Western eCrit, which happens later tonight. In focus right now, we have Mr. Jeffrey Creel, who is hot off a nice performance in London racing the CVR event. So he's got that experience racing on the big stage, and he's slowly been making his way back into the racing, back into the eCrits. I believe he's sitting just outside top 10 currently, but he's definitely got the power to hold down and go off the front at a certain point in this race. But Cameron Roberts is off to America racing. Was it the Super Week you were calling it, Wes?
I reckon that's what it would be if he's going over to America around this mid-year period. The Super Week, the crits. I think it's 21 days, if I'm correct, that they race in a row. Obviously, you don't have to race them all, but it's sort of like this eCrit series. It's really consistency is key to make sure that you're up there the whole time and getting those places and target the races that suit you. And my brother actually raced at Bernie Salzburger and he actually won the series. So it's nice to know that that this racing like this, that people can really make that opportunity like Aaron is, and just keep tapping away and just making sure that they're getting those podiums, getting those places, and a win every now and then too, and make sure that they follow through with it because they can take up the series. But it's not one in one day, but over the whole series.
But that means he can't race the eCrit if he's all the way over in the States unless he jumps on a turbo trainer. So
Yeah,
Cameron
no,
Roberts,
he could use it as a bit of cross training
he
in between.
could.
But I'm sure with the super, if he's doing the super series over there, I'm sure he won't really have time, so he'll be too fatigued.
In the meanwhile, looks like Elias and Spinache have gone off the front in a 2-second gap, but we're just entering the first lap of 7 out here on the counterclockwise volcano circuit. It's a good attack, but it might not stick because we've got Nazi and Coach Aiden bringing it back down. But Cameron Roberts out, Anthony Vegan Porsche out, Nazi feeling sick, Troy Herford's not here. This race, with all those big instigators out here, Wes, for me it looks like we're set for another sprint.
Yeah, it could come down to that sprint, and Aaron Dunn will probably be the main man to beat there. He's definitely got the speed. It'll be interesting to see if anyone tries to lay it down to make sure it doesn't become a sprint. Some of these other riders, if they're not as strong a sprinter, then they don't want to hang around and wait for someone like Aaron Dunn to hit the finish with a power up.
Or even Luke Ockerby, he showed last week. He got the nod to go ahead because Aaron Dunn blew all his matches maybe a tiny bit too early, but Ockerby got the go-ahead, and he finished, I think, third. So a great finish from him. Maybe we'll see a Wolfpack Taz team up towards the finish line, a little lead-out train for either Ockerby or Dunn going into this. What do you say, DS Salzburger?
Yeah, I can't see them not backing Dunn if he's got that power there. Like I actually spoke to him and asked him what happened last week with that little mix up there with 3K to go. I thought it was strange that he was going off the front there. So what actually happened? He said there was a bead of sweat come off his nose onto his iPhone, and actually used his power up 1 lap out. So he had no power up. So then he decided to test the legs, to see whether he could just get away and instigate something because he wasn't confident of trying to win that sprint without a power up.
I'm speechless. That's the funniest Swift racing story I've probably heard in quite a while. A drop of sweat. You like ruining your chances of a win in an eCrit series. Maybe it's time to invest in a headband or a sweatband. Oh my god. Anyway,
So I'm sure he's got it sorted for tonight. I'm sure he's got the little the tennis wristbands on. He's wiping his forehead and making sure that he's set for tonight.
How would you react if somebody out in the real roads rode with tennis wristbands? Just saying.
I've seen it done. Johan Ofredo, my teammate from FDJ, he used to run a sweatband on the inside of his wrist, like the tennis ones.
Wow.
He was a bit of a show pony.
Oh, I love White Alfredo. But back to the real racing, the eCrit racing from Australia. With the big guns out of the office, let's look at some of the interns who could step up to the plate today. I've seen Damien Hassan near the front. He's really been making a name for himself over the last 3 weeks, and he was actually instigating a bit of chat in the starting pen, going, Nazi, Dunn, are you guys ready for a tag team off the front? Nazi, as we know, not really feeling that well, but I think Damien Hassan is one of the guys who will definitely give it a go today at some point now, as we've got Van Spinash with an aero power up off the front. We've got Dixon playing a roadblock now, as we got Fixie Joel. Where does that name come from, Wes? Fixie Joel? WP Task? What's going on?
Fixie Joe, well, I do know that he has a fixie he likes to ride around our local town in Launceston. So I don't know how he's actually officially picked that name up. I don't know whether he's give it to himself. But yeah, I'll ask him that and get back to you on that.
Perfect. Neil Padlock's near the front. Aussie Hump Day ride. Met him in Sydney. Great guy, representing a great ride every Wednesday at 7 o'clock in the evening. Always great banter and with a perfect after party to just shake up the legs. Looking further down, I do not see Drew Jin anywhere. Drew Jin was on the start line, but as we're making our way back to the back of the group, it looks like he might have had a mechanical, dropped out, or maybe he just wanted to see the start pen go down, and that's him for the day. So Drew Jin maybe giving everybody a bit of cold sweat when they saw the name on the start list, but he's definitely not in this main pack, but Ben Hill is. You saw this race last week, Wes. Where are the crucial pressure points on this course?
You know, after we come through that volcano and then through that finish line, a lot of people were attacking, coming up through to that finish line, that steep last part of the climb. And I was sort of making that gap there and using some power ups, some of the featherweight power ups to really get that gap and try and extend that out. We didn't see anything stick, and the Wolfpack crew were really quick on shutting everything down. They sort of made sure that they were backing done and made sure that they had everything shut down. And if they were in some moves, and the other people that were in that move, like they went off the front with Troy Hoffos, and he wasn't keen at all, two Wolfpack guys there. So everything sort of got shut down, where it's going to be interesting tonight. It's probably going a little bit more open for those opportunists just to take that little bit of a punt of getting away and working well together with those unnamed riders, that are in the pack. Someone is Jason... Wagner racing tonight?
I have not seen him just yet. It's been a while since he raced. He raced race 4 to 7, and I think I've not seen him since then. No.
Okay. Yeah.
Strong rider.
Jason's Jason also is from Tasmania. He's from Hobart. He actually contacted me about some coaching, but we haven't followed through on that yet. So hopefully he's putting some extra practice in, ready for the next race.
Looks like he's busy racing outside in the real criteriums. Used that training from the eCrit, jumped outside and trying to use that big jump of his. So taking stock of who is here. I've seen Hogan, I've seen Elias, who's attacked off the front, Ockerby, Fixie Joe, Poley, Howe, Hoare, we got Waitman, we got Johnston, we got Nazi, Burnell, we've got further up Jeffrey Keel, Dixon, we've got, we've got Proper, Blackburn, Roper, Johnsons, a lot of new names, Damien Hassan, but I don't see Ben Hill. Ben Hill has actually been dropped from this group. So Drew Jin and Ben Hill, perhaps the two biggest names of the starting pen, actually dropped off the back already. Is that due to the pressure, you think, or mechanical?
I'd say that'd be mechanical. Ben was pretty keen for tonight when I spoke to him earlier, so I'd say that's either dropout or some sort of mechanical there happening.
Oh God, that's never good. But with the new rule changes, you can miss a race. It's no longer about overall consistency. It is about racing consistency in a peak performance time. As you know, Wesley, it's very difficult to peak over this period of time, but if you precise the time limit, you can actually peak very well for about 4, 5, 6 weeks. Is that what you would say?
Yeah, I'd definitely peak really well. Yeah, you got to build up for, so you got to really pick where you want to target. So like I said, with those key races that you're good at. So, this course here with this uphill finish really suits someone like Ben Hill. He's got to make the most of that because, last week we saw him off the back earlier and then he come back and still won the race. So hopefully with that dropout he's had, he can still come back in there and get in the mix.
I'm going to just go into the gruppetto real quick and see if I can find Ben Hill hanging off the back. No, no, not even in the gruppetto. So it looks like the broom wagon is the place to be tonight. That's an early sweep over there for Ben Hill and Drew Gin, as Dixon is sitting in there going up into the orange numbers near Padlaw. One thing is for certain, we're either going to see Aaron Dunn, the monster, take tonight's win, or it's going to be a totally new name at the top of the results list, which I'm really looking forward to. I mean, I mentioned this before going on air. eCrit is by far my favorite stream to do of the week, and now we're going to see new names get towards the front of the racing, but they've got to try and split up the good WP task team. If you're out there listening right now, you have got to try and split it up, because Aaron Dunn, he put in a 9:29 sprint on the mall sprint in London, which is the fastest time I have ever seen. And if you want to beat that power monster, you've got to loosen up his legs first. You got to make him feel like he's got nothing left to give out on course.
Yeah, and Aaron Dunn gave me a little bit of insight. I spoke to him during the week, and he was saying that he started cycling late when he was 28. He was up to 110 kilo. He's 35 now, and he's down to 72 kilos. So that's pretty impressive work that he's put in there. So this is pretty exciting for someone to come from 110 kilo down to 72 and is winning the eCrit series. So yeah, I'm really happy for him, and it's a pretty cool story.
I've got to issue a retraction. Ben Hill is in the pack. He has just been so properly camouflaged within all the riders. He's now sitting towards the front in that World Bicycle Relief Kit. So I know Ben Hill was actually making a conscious effort to listen into this. So when he heard his name not in the group pack, he might have either panicked or thought something else. But Ben Hill definitely still in the front group. And how does this change the dynamics, Wes?
Yeah, no, this is good for Ben, because I was worried that him not being there for dropout. I think that Ben can really. It'll be interesting to see whether he tries to bust it up and go with some of these moves. We see who's this going off the front here now.
Yes, again, Elias, every single time we've come to this segment, he's popped an aero power up. So he's gotten really lucky 3 times in a row. Popped an aero power up, gotten 5 seconds, and then he's been caught again.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see if one of the Wolfpack Taz guys sort of goes over the top here, either Luke Ockerby or Fixie Joel, someone trying to go over the top here and try to go with that gap and start to create a little bit of traction there and get everyone sort of starting to fire up with those attacks.
We've got Whitefield and Behan, who's both at the front right now, setting down the paces. We're 13 kilometers in of the 33-kilometer long race today here in the Volcano Circuit. A race, one of the best courses out on Watopia, and I believe this is with 5 laps now to go. It is still all back together. We'll see if Elias has gotten another aero power up coming around next time, going up that steep incline towards the finish line. So they've been racing for 16 minutes. They're averaging about 46 kilometers an hour. And if we look over to the left, we can see that the lacking of Troy Herfoss, Cameron Roberts, of Nazi at full finesse, we can see that the overall volcano times have actually gone up by about 10 seconds. It's visible to see that the pace has actually slowed down compared to last week's frenetic attacks. Like every 5 meters, someone will be going off the front. But right now, it's only really Elias who's been making a move at the front.
No, just the names there. I'm having a little trouble because my camera's over the name, so I can only see part of those, Jesper. So was that M. Bernal is in there? Is that Matt Bernal?
It could be, if you saw him. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of guys taking part in the eCrit today. I'll take a look further down, but if it is him,
he's also from Tasmania, from Launceston. So it's pretty interesting to see how many people from Tasmania are racing this E series.
I'm looking around, but see, the thing is, this pack is so massive. Everyone is utilizing the draft. So when I'm changing the riders nearby, it keeps moving up and down, because just like in the Tour de France, as you've ridden, Wes, the pack is just so much together, like small changing positions. And when you're trying to be the producer, commentator, and lead, it is very difficult to get a hold of who's there and who is not there. But Wes, thankfully we got swiftpower.com, which has got all the information we need. So I'll head over there in just a second. But almost halfway through, what can we conclude so far?
Well, so far, I would have thought there was a little bit more action from the Wolfpack crew. So they must be just sort of just hanging back, and they may be waiting for that midway point through the race, saving their biscuits a little bit and making sure that when they turn it on, they really turn it on. That's what I'm guessing is going to happen. It'd be interesting to see what other teams do we have in there for numbers wise. I'm just trying to look.
It's Aussie
Got a
Hump Day
few
ride.
from Yeah, got a few from the Aussie Hump Day ride. So it'd be interesting to see whether they try and stir things up. Because yeah, if they're all going to roll around here and try and keep together, then I wouldn't be real confident if I was them with Aaron Dunn sitting in that pillow.
I got an update on Drew Jin. He is at the 9 kilometer mark. So looked like he was dropped early and is just chugging along out on course behind this group. Another rider to keep an eye out is Coach Aiden. I have been told to keep an eye out for Coach Aiden for about 3 weeks in a row now. And he's one of the guys that just races on feel, I've been told. He's really, really strong, but he's got to have the right day to do it. So we'll see what's going to go. We're going to see what's going to happen today as Coach Aiden is looking set to maybe this is going to be his day that he hits the home run and gets to round all 4 bases and take the overall victory now. He's sitting at the back. He's already got that KOM jersey out on course, the best 2-minute power, I would say, when you get that jersey. Where would you sit right now, Wes? If you were riding and nobody's really attacking, where in this pack would you locate yourself?
You have to locate yourself in that sort of top 20. So then, if something does go, you haven't got that big jump. Depends on what your goals are for the race. If you're a sprinter, you're probably just going to sit in mid pack here at this time. But if you're one of those opportunists that want to go with some of these moves, and you obviously want to be up the front, so you haven't got too much to chase up there. So some guys like Ockerby and that would be probably hanging sort of in the wing, just ready to launch with anything that goes.
I think, Wes, we've just hit the halfway point. One of my favorite features of doing a broadcast is getting in a prediction. Last week we had it on the Western broadcast. It was Rupert Walsh versus Ben Simpson, and they both came first and second, I believe. But before you make your prediction, Wes, I want you, looking at you over on the Go Swift Facebook page, to go on your Swift mobile link-up app and give a ride-on to whoever you believe in, whoever you think will win today's 9th stage of the eCrit. I want you to give that person a ride-on. So get to that. And Wes, I'm going to give you to the top of this climb as we've got an attack over the front by Polly, who is racing for the same team that Huskin races for in the Western eCrit. But they've gone to the top. That's all your thinking time. We're going to need a name, Mr. Wes Salzberger.
Aaron Dunn, he's got to win this. As long as I'm sure he's got a sweatband on tonight, and that drop of sweat's not going to go onto his iPhone, and he's going to save that power up, and he's going to be set.
Oh, he's going to be the one chasing the chips at the finish line tonight. That is for certain. Wes Salzberger bagging the local boy for the victory. I have got to go with Mr. Damian Hassan. He's been doing so well, and to have the confidence to instigate, pre-race banter, I've got to say that shows you've got diamonds in your legs. So I will go with Damian Hassan. But here goes Aaron Dunn is trying to follow an attack early on. We've got WP Task making their first move of the evening, 17 kilometers in, 4 laps left to go, and Luke Ockerby and Aaron Dunn sitting at 7 watts per kilogram, and they have got a gap, Wes. Your two boys from Tasmania have got a 3-second gap now as they are digging deep. What do you think about this move?
Come on, boys. That's it. Get into it. So they're really setting this tempo here now. Nice, fast tempo, and they're going to work together here. Hopefully some of these other guys that have tagged on the back here are going to keep rolling through. Looks like they're going to keep rolling through with them, so they're happy to be away. This is really exciting now with this move. It's going to be interesting to see whether they can hold that gap now. Who's going to chase back in the main peloton? A few ride-ons going on there. I think that's to Aaron Dunn or Luke there?
That was to Aaron Dunn, yes. We've got Damian Hassan, though, trying to bridge across, seeing the danger of this move. And I think WP Taz has pulled the trigger at the exact moment that the gun was loaded, and they are ready for this. There is no coming back now. That group is simply too strong. You've got Ockerby, Dunn, and you've got Watson in there. And now Damian Hassan, 2 more seconds. We saw Ben Hill doing exactly the same thing last week. Get dropped and try to get back on. But your boys are smarter than that. They won't let Damian Hassan get back on just easy as that. They're going to keep the pace high, and they're doing a good job so far, Wes.
They're going to have to hold it on here. It looks like he's almost closed that gap now. He's going to roll back onto the back here. He's going to have to take his time there to get reset, grab a breath. Everyone's really strung out behind now. It's really stretched out. So you can see the pace is still on really high here.
It's Nazi. Nazi's bridging the gap.
Nazi's,
What's going on here, Wes?
And Nazi's coming across. Is he bringing two or three? Oh, no, he's bringing
everyone with him. He's being the conductor, and he is bringing the train to its next destination.
He's bringing the pillow with him.
Oh
dear.
God, everything looks so good. Now Nazi at 6 watts per kilogram. The firefighter is trying to set out the fire that he's just created himself, but calms down, and the gap is still at 4 seconds. Now, who's going to react? We got Jeffrey Keel near the front. Ben Hill did not make the jump to that group. Caught by surprise, and we've now got a Teta de la Course and a Peloton just behind him. A breakaway followed by a chasing pack led on by Neil Patlaw of Team Aussie Hump Day Ride. This is exciting, Wes.
Yeah, no, this is exciting now. It looks like they're just holding them off there now, but look like they're gaining a little bit, going to come back together here almost. It's sort of all stretched out. It's going to be really interesting to see whether someone else goes over the top with this. Like, Ben Hills didn't go with those moves. It'd be interesting to see whether he wants to go straight over the top while everyone's hurting and gasping.
It's Grupo Compacto, everything back together. Ben Hill sitting in 10th position. He's probably the rider that won the most out of that attack, as he didn't have to work. He sat in. Aaron Dunn burned a match. Ockerby definitely burned several matches on that attack. And we'll see what's going to happen now, but there might be some words exchanged, because Nazi definitely brought that back within 2 seconds when the gap was around 7 seconds at one point. So there might be some words shared over the team radio, Wes.
Yeah, we didn't see what happened there. I don't know whether someone might have attacked over the top and Nazi was just following it through. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. I hope that Nazi would be up with that, not to chase his own teammate. So we didn't see what fully happened there. So maybe someone else was actually attacked and Nazi had followed that and went over the top of him.
That attack, though, has shot a few riders out the back, and we're now down to about 20 riders in the peloton with 13 kilometers left to go. And this is eCrit racing at its finest. Riders attacking left, right, and center. You've got teams versus individuals. You've got riders making great moves, followed by other riders reacting to it. This is eCrit racing at its best, as we're now heading into the volcano again. Let's see who's going to kick it off. There are going to be a few sore legs after that attack by Ockerby and Aaron Dunn, pulling off a great maneuver. And let's get the insight. Was that plan, or was that spur of the moment?
I'm not fully into the team tactics here. The boys sort of work it out amongst themselves. I give the initial sort of heads over things and have a little chat to them beforehand. But a lot of this stuff is worked out on the fly. So they do sort of know how to race as a team and make sure that they had two main guys in that move. Nazi back with the man flu in the bunch. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether anyone else is really going to want to actually attack over the top of any moves now. So if something goes, that's when it's going to be something. This next move may go, but then it's the move after that, I think, that's going to count. So when it gets a little bit to the pointy end now, it's the second move. And that's where probably Ben Hill or someone like that will be sneaky and try to save those legs for that second move, whack over the top, and then it'll be curtains.
3 laps left to go. You can almost hear that fat lady singing right now. It is coming up to the pointy end of the race. Now the question becomes, which power-up do you have? Do you have an aero power-up? Do you have a feather, as we're seeing being popped on the left side? Are you prepared to use it at the right moment? This is always the part of the race, West, where we see that goes a bit, nervousness starts to fall upon the pack. Everyone starts looking around, going like, I went onto the attack, as they're actually lapping Drew Jin out on course, who's now in the peloton because he's been lapped out on course. But this is the point where everyone starts looking around saying, I'm not going to go onto the attack until someone else does. So it might be a while until we see the next attack.
Yeah, everyone's sort of doing that left and right, look over the shoulder and looking around. No one really wants to do anything now, because that was a solid effort. And like you said, it really fanned out the bunch. And we've got limited numbers left now. That shelled a fair few guys off the back. So everyone's sort of probably just, getting in that recovery now, trying to bring their heart rate back down, bring their breathing rate back down and control things. And probably, I'm sure there'd be a little bit of lactic build up after that effort, especially from Ockerby and Dunn when they went really hard over that hill.
That was the fastest lap so far today in the eCrit series on this volcano circuit. A 5:01 was set, so close to that 5 flat minute mark. And it was a good time. I'm sure the final lap of the day will be in the 450s is what we're going to see from the fastest riders. As it's 4 kilometers, just flat out full power. It'll be interesting to see how the dynamics play out now as we've got Jeffrey Heel in the front here. We got Hassan sitting back, Neil Patlaw. It's good to see Neil Patlaw back at the front of the affairs. For the first 5 races, he was so up there, but then it looks like the competition just became a bit too much as the racing changed when Troy, Ben, when Cameron, all these guys just non-stop machines off the front. Looked like they had a Fast and Furious car, you know, they just kept changing gear. There was just no backing down, and that might have hurt Neil Patlaw's chances a bit, but he's back into the pointy end today. And we're just about 10 kilometers to go. It's looking good, Wes.
It's looking good now. Everyone's sort of still doing that, looking around over their shoulder. No one's really wanting to do anything here. Now, coming up to the top of this hill, someone's going to launch for sure. I'd put money on it that someone's going to launch over the top of this hill. So everyone's sort of looking at each other now. Here we go, starting to light it up now.
It's Gentleman Jim.
Stretching out. Gentleman Jim.
First man to go, but not an attack. It's more of an increase of pace.
It's a little dummy there, just to test, see who would go on with it. And no one sort of went over the top there, so he sort of just let that platter out now. It'll be interesting to see whether a Wolfpack guy goes over the top here soon. I think someone will try and counter this move.
I hope someone brought a knife, because right now, it's just you can almost cut out just like a tiny bit of the air, but that's all the nervousness. It's just condensed right now. Everyone is like not willing to take a turn. Nobody's willing to attack. You can see the watts per kilo. Oh, there goes Gentleman Jim for a second, up to 9 watts. Back down again. He is doing the shimmy. He's trying to get everyone else to react, but this is it. The watts have come down by a solid 1 watt per kilogram. Everyone trying to get their heart rate back down, and they're getting ready for an explosive finale. And this looks like we might be heading into a sprint, depending whether or not we're going to see one last attack. But with WP Task making up the numbers, you would assume they would try and set it up for a sprint finale.
Yeah, that's what we'd assume, just. So a fair few Tron bikes out there as well. So a few people have been doing that climbing challenge. So I reckon that someone else that's gonna have to really shake this up now and sort of get that move going. And if there's a Wolfpack Taz there with it, then that move will go away, because then the other guys can sit back and not have any pressure. So it'd be interesting to see who that key rider is. Ockleby's in good form. We see some moves start to sort of go here.
Drew Jin. He's been lapped, but that is Drew Jin going off the front, even though he's 5 kilometers down. So just pulling a move on everybody, but nothing too serious just yet. Watson popping a featherweight. We've got Aaron Dunn at 7 watts per kilo now, trying to get that heart rate a tiny bit up now as he is marking attacks going into the volcano as we're about to enter with 2 laps left to go in tonight's eCrit Series Stage 9, powered by Kiz and Zwift Community Live.
Yeah, and we see that everyone's sort of still doing that look around the shoulder. No one's really pushing on with that move. They're all a bit scared there to go because it's getting close to the end.
We've got a break with 2 WP Task riders. It looked like it just snapped. Going over that hill, the elastic snapped. Somebody let up a gap, and there they are. We got Nazi and Aaron Dunn off the front again. Yep,
there's that gap now, and Nadzi's up in there too. So Nadzi's shaking that man flu off and getting up there amongst it. So it's good to see that he's up there. Got Jujin, who's a lap down. He's working with them, though. He's pulling some turns.
Drew Jin in the midst of things. That is pretty incredible that an Olympic rower is racing right now from people all around Australia, Tasmania, Sydney, Melbourne, wherever you're from. I mean, that is pretty incredible. That is the power of Zwift. The community is just so great. Now, this looks like it could be the attack. And it just happened out of nowhere, Wes. That group now has about 4 seconds, and there's several task riders up there.
The legs look like it just snapped. Yeah, it was just like it was all compacto, as you were saying earlier, and then it sort of just spaced out, and it happened really quickly. So someone's let the wheel go there, but that's in the favor of the Wolfpack Taz guys with their key guys up there. So it'd be interesting to see whether anyone can. Who's going to bring this back now for the teams? There's no other real solid teams now to bring this move back. There's just going to be people doing those. It's going to be doing these haymakers here to try and bring it back.
Aussie Hump Day, right? They've got to do it. They've got to put in the jobs now. They've got Petlo, they got Hassan working in this front group. And again, Ben Hill is caught in this second group. He's playing the game of not taking any chances. He's playing for the sprint. So he's hoping this comes back together. But with Drew Jin on the front, rolling along with this front group, taking turns, it's going to be interesting. We've got at least 3 WP task riders in here, strong riders taking turns. And they're like, the two groups are almost equal in size out on course. So we have 2 team time trials now, and the gap
Oh, it
is
looks like it's
growing.
splitting again, is it there? Little
Yeah.
gap in the middle of that front group as well there.
This is it, ladies and gentlemen. 8 seconds in between them. We've got about 5 kilometers left to go, and this looks like it could be the attack that determines the stage winner of the day. This just embodies cycling, though. If you're not mentally prepared, if you're not ready for it to snap, you won't be in that front group. It was all about positioning. You got Nazi and Dunn sitting at 7 watts per kilo. Nothing impressive when they're going to attack. They can do much more, but they were just sitting at the front, and suddenly that elastic just snapped, and they were off the front, and now they've got a 9-second gap, and riders in the back, they've got to start working for it, but this is not coming back together, Wes.
No, this isn't going to come back together now. It's a solid group, and everyone's happy to roll through and keep it away. Dujin keeps going off the front here. He's happy to pick the pace up for the Wolfpack Taz guys. So right on. Someone's giving him a ride on there. I was giving him an air ride on just here, but that's good to see that they're all working together here, and that's really in favor of the Wolfpack crew with 3 guys in there. It's going to be really interesting to see who tries to attack here. So, like, these other guys are going to have to attack to try and get away and distance themselves, but the pace is high, so it's going to be really hard for anyone to try and attack. So if they do, they're going to need that power up or that assistance to get away and then try and hold it from there. It's going to be a time trial to hold off this big pack.
This is the most tactical race I've seen in quite a while on Zwift. We've actually got a real breakaway going off the front, working together as a unit. Speaking of a unit, Drew Jin, what a monster sitting at the front right now. But here we go, just about 1 lap to go.
He's really smashing the pedals. Doesn't matter that he's lapped out. He's still in amongst it there, giving it some curry. So that's really good to see. And like you were saying earlier, it'd be really interesting if we could get some photos and feedback of everyone's setup. So whether they're in their garage, in their lounge room, whether they've got a sweat guard on to make sure sweat doesn't drop on their iPhone or iPad or whatever they're using. Yeah, it'd be really good to see some setups of what people have got going on. My own setup is out in my garage. So yeah, I reckon there'd be a fair few man caves going on.
If you want to send your setup, feel free to post it on Zwift, Oz, Tack, Jesper, and Wes, Zwift Community Live. Feel free to do that, or on Twitter, but let's get a Zwift Oz page running. Everyone, or post running. Everyone from the eCrit, when you're done, take a picture of your setup, post it on Zwift Oz. We'll make a thread, and that will help us going forward to say some funny things about your setup, or maybe even drop some sweat on an aero power. But here we go into the climb. This is the penultimate time, Wes. 1 more lap to go after this. And
we've got Jujin giving it some curry again. Jujin's gone to the front and stirring that pace up. Be interesting to see who can go over the top of him here. So they're starting to roll over him now, and be interesting to see whether someone just absolutely lights it up like Luna Park here. So let's see what happens here. Everyone's sort of looking at each other. No one's made the move yet, but for sure someone's got to go. The tension's there.
4 kilometers to go. Tension is definitely on. And I just had to look further back to check where the Gruppetto is, which actually was the peloton, but I'm fairly certain it's now the Gruppetto. They're about 15 seconds behind. The onslaughter, that is Drew Jin, has distanced the Gruppetto by a solid 15 seconds. That's Ben Hill, Damien Hassan, Jeffrey Keel. Several strong riders have been left in the dust, and that leaves just a front group of Paulie, Dunn, Watson, Jones, Johnson, Ockerby, Nazi, and Coach Aiden. Is today the day Coach Aiden will upset the rest? Or has WP Task pulled off one of the greatest coups in eCrit history? You'll have to see now. We got 3 kilometers left to go and a monster on the front. Who is going to take on the challenge of challenging Drew Jin? It's going to be tough. How do you play this now, Wes? 3 kilometers to go. How do you play it?
3K to go. It's going to be very difficult with the pace already being high. Drew Jin's given it some curry again, so it's going to be hard for anyone to go off the front here. So they're actually just going to have to tuck in now and conserve that energy for the sprint. Make sure that they're in that good position. If they've got someone to help them, they start to move up now. Use your teammates and get in that position ready to pounce. and you want to be ready because someone may take a flyer, even though that pace is high. They may just have that power up and may use it early to try and get that gap, but it'd certainly be a hard feat to hold on, but you've got to try.
It looks like Drew Jin has flicked the elbow and he's gone off the front now. He's all the way at the back. Who is taking up the pace in the front now? Who's it going to be? Drew Jin is no longer being the conductor. Somebody else is taking over that role now, as we've got 2.5 kilometers left to go. And we've got 4 WP task riders and a bunch of individuals left to race in here. We've got Don, Nazi, Ockerby. It's going to be interesting to see how they play this one out now, as they've got 3 kilometers to go and they've got to figure out how they play this. And here, once again, Drew Jin decided, you know what, I'm going to go on the front again. I'm going to do a lead out, and I'm going to get in a good workout. That's what he's doing just now out on course.
Yeah, he's making sure that pace holds high, and that's actually playing in the favor of the Wolfpack guys because it's keeping that pace high so no one else can attack, and they just need to make sure they get their lead out train and their man, their P, who they're going to lead out, which most likely would be done to try and get that set up for the sprint. And they've really got the pace on here. No one's going to attack, I don't reckon. Maybe after Drew Jin blows up here, may see some Wolfpack crew go to the front, or the Aussie hump day. Here we go, coming up the hill now. We haven't got too long to go now, Jasper. What do you think is going to come down? Do you think someone's going to do a haymaker here and try and go over the top of this power? I reckon it'll be your man Drew Jin going over the top. Here we go.
It's
lighted up here. We've got that gap. Jones has gone for it.
Front, Wes. Newcomer to the racing, and he's gone.
He's got that bit of a gap there now, so it'll be interesting to see what the teams do back here, whether they're going to start to work together and make sure they keep him at that sort of hovering distance. They don't want to let him get any further out than he is. Looks like they're going to come back together here, though. They're coming back up pretty quick behind him. He's going to be Grupo Compacto again, ready for the sprint.
We're approaching the final kilometer. They're going to turn right, they're going to turn left, they're going to go up a major straight, and then it's time for the monster. It's time for that incline going into the volcano. That is going to be tough, but it looks like Jones burned a few matches there, going off the front. Valid attack, 3-second gap, but it's too early. You've got to save it now, because now they have a straight going on for about 500 meters. They turn left slightly again, and that's where you unleash the beast. Once they hit that incline, it's 700 meters to go to the finish line. That incline is about 5%. Is anyone going to launch? They can't. Drew Jin is putting down the pace in the front.
Here we
no
go.
one is able to attack. This is incredible, Wes.
This pace is high, and Drew Jin's keeping that pace high. No one can go off the front here when Drew Jin keeps doing those big haymakers, just coming from nowhere, recovering and going again. We looked at the Wolfpack crew just getting in position here. There's the power up.
Arrow power up, Wes.
This is interesting.
Arrow. He is
and that's the strongest power up. That's the strongest power up you can use. Look at that. He's getting down that tuck arrow position. He's pulling that gap out now, and the gap's opening up. So, this is going to be really coming down the wire here. The Wolfpack crew are going to have to make sure they get on the front foot here. Start to shut this gap down.
Here he goes, Wes. 12 watts per kilo. No, we've lost Wes. We've lost audio from Wes. No, what's going on here? Oh, the power outage is all around. Power is on the game. Power out on production. Here they all go. Coach Aiden launched it really early, but Ockerby coming around with the arrow power up. And he's got Don close behind him as well. Can he catch Coach Aiden? Yes, he can. And it looks like it's going to be a WP task 1-2 as the arrow power up from Ockerby will carry him all the way to the finish line. And we can see Wes, but somehow audio cut out just at the finish line. He may have unplugged the microphone at the very last minute, but it's going to be, oh no, it's not. It's going to be Jones taking it on the line. Ockerby 1, Jones 2nd, Dunn 3rd. Wes, I'm going to see if I can get audio back on you. No, that's not working. Even though we can see Wes in full finish, we cannot hear him now as audio cut out at the very last minute. Anyway, great racing out on course. I'd love to hear what Wes had to say about that, but it looks like we have some technical issues on our end, so we're going to have to cut it short there. Wes, you cannot. You can use your hand signals, but we can't hear you. Thank you very much for coming on, Wes. I think Wes will be on for the Western race that's happening over on Zwift Community Live anyway later, but if you want to say thank you to Wes, head over to his Facebook page. It's called Wesley Salzberger. Got his coaching, got some of his racing funny stories over there. So head over there, give him a like, tell him thank you very much for coming on. And Wes, if you agree with me, nod your head. And